The stars had never been this quiet. In the outer edge of the galaxy, something was wrong. Entire star systems had gone dark. Not slowly, not over years, but in a single moment. 1 second there were signals, voices, life. The next nothing. No distress calls. No escape ships. No survivors. Only silence. At first, the Galactic Council thought it was a natural disaster. A rare cosmic event. Maybe a collapsing star or a strange energy wave. But then it happened again. And again. Each time, the same pattern. A system full of life, suddenly erased. No warning. No trace. Now, fear had spread across the entire galaxy. Inside the massive chamber of the Galactic Council, leaders from the most powerful alien races gathered. The room was filled with tension. Giant beings with glowing eyes. Thin, tall figures with silver skin. Creatures made of living light. All of them were afraid. A large holographic map floated in the center of the chamber. It showed the galaxy. Bright points of light marked every known star system. But many of those lights were gone. Dark spots spread across the map like a growing disease. One of the council members stepped forward. He was tall, with deep blue skin and sharp features. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We have lost 12 systems in the last cycle." Murmurs filled the room. Another voice spoke, this time shaking slightly. "Our fleets were there. Entire armadas. Advanced weapons. None of it mattered." "What do we know about the enemy?" someone asked. There was a long pause. Then the answer came. "Nothing." The word hit harder than any weapon. Another council member, a being of pure energy, flickered as it spoke. "Our sensors detected something before each system fell. A signal. Strange. Unknown. It did not match any known language or code." "Can it be translated?" someone asked quickly. "No," the being replied. "But we gave it a name." The chamber grew silent. "We call it the Void Swarm." The name itself felt heavy. Cold. Deadly. Suddenly, the hologram changed. It zoomed into one of the lost systems. A replay began. A peaceful world appeared. Cities glowing with life. Ships moving in perfect order. Then a strange distortion appeared in space. Like reality itself was bending. Within seconds, dark shapes emerged. Endless. Moving like a swarm. The system's defense fleet reacted immediately. Thousands of ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy filled space. But something was wrong. The weapons stopped. Ships turned. And then they started attacking each other. Gasps filled the chamber. "They hacked the fleet," one council member whispered. "Yes," the blue-skinned leader said. "Not just the fleet. Entire planetary defenses. Artificial intelligence. Even communication systems." The replay continued. Panic spread on the planet. People tried to escape. But ships crashed before leaving orbit. Defense shields failed. And then the dark swarm reached the planet. The screen went black. Silence. The hologram disappeared. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, a small voice broke the silence. It came from one of the youngest council members. "If our technology cannot stop them, what can?" No one had an answer. Until one of the oldest beings in the room slowly moved forward. It was ancient. Its body was covered in glowing cracks, like it had survived countless wars. Its voice was deep and calm. "There is one option." All eyes turned toward it. "We have not considered them in a long time." "Who?" someone asked. The ancient being paused. "Humans." The word caused immediate reaction. "Impossible," one council member said. "They are primitive compared to us." "They rely on physical combat," another added. "Outdated methods. Inefficient." "They are unpredictable," a third said. "Dangerous." The ancient being did not react to the criticism. "Yes," it said calmly. "All of that is true." "Then why suggest them?" the blue-skinned leader asked. "Because," the ancient being replied, "they are the only ones who prepare for the impossible." The chamber fell silent again. The idea was uncomfortable. Humans were known across the galaxy, but not respected in the same way as advanced races. They did not have the most powerful technology. They did not control vast territories. But they had something else. Something strange. Something difficult to understand. They adapted. In every war they had fought, they had done the unexpected. They had survived situations where logic said they should fail. And sometimes they had won. The blue-skinned leader looked around the chamber. Fear was still there. But now there was also something else. Hope. Small. Weak. But real. "If we contact them," he said slowly, We must accept their methods. That may come at a cost, another warned. The leader nodded. Everything already has. There was no argument after that. The decision was made. A signal was prepared. It was simple, direct, urgent. A call for help. The message was sent across the stars, traveling faster than light, carrying the fear of an entire galaxy. Then they waited. Minutes passed. Then hours. The chamber remained silent. Every council member watching the communication channel. Waiting. Hoping. And then, a signal returned. Everyone froze. It's from Earth, one of the technicians said. Put it through, the leader ordered. The room darkened slightly as the main screen activated. For a moment, there was only static. Then an image appeared. A human. He was sitting in a simple room. No advanced technology. No grand display. Just a calm face and steady eyes. He looked ordinary, but his presence filled the room. This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth Defense, he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. We received your message. The blue-skinned leader stepped forward. Then you understand the situation. Yes, Elias replied. A pause. And, the leader asked. We can help. Relief spread through the chamber. Some members almost collapsed from the sudden release of tension. But Elias was not finished. We will send support. How many ships? Someone asked quickly. Another added. What kind of weapons do you have that can resist the void swarm? Elias looked at them for a moment. Then he spoke. We don't send armies anymore. Confusion spread. What does that mean? The leader asked. Elias leaned slightly forward. His eyes became sharper. Focused. We send elite. The word echoed in the silent chamber. Elite? One council member repeated. Yes. How many? Another asked. Elias paused. Then he gave his answer. 5. The reaction was immediate. 5, someone shouted. We are losing entire systems and you send 5 soldiers? Elias did not react. They are enough. The room filled with doubt again. Fear mixed with disbelief. But the blue-skinned leader raised his hand, silencing everyone. What makes them different? He asked. Elias looked directly at him. For a moment, there was something in his eyes. Something dangerous. Because, he said slowly, they are not just soldiers. Another pause. They are the reason we are still alive. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. The connection began to fade. Prepare a landing zone, Elias added. They are already on their way. The screen went dark. No one moved. 5 warriors. Against something that erased entire civilizations. It made no sense. And yet, there was no other choice. The blue-skinned leader turned back to the holographic map. Another system flickered. And then it went dark. He closed his eyes for a brief moment. Then he spoke quietly. Let us hope. 5 is enough. Far away, in the darkness between stars, something moved. 5 small objects, traveling silently through space. No large fleet. No massive weapons. Just 5, heading straight toward the war. And behind them, the galaxy held its breath. Less than 1 cycle after the message from Earth, long-range sensors detected something entering the system. It was not a fleet, not an armada, just a single small vessel. The Galactic Council watched in silence as the object appeared on the holographic map. That is it? One council member asked, disbelief clear in his voice. It must be a scout ship, another said quickly. The main force will follow. But no other signals appeared. No reinforcements. No hidden fleets. Just one ship. The blue-skinned leader narrowed his eyes. Bring it on screen. The image shifted. A small, dark vessel floated into view. It looked simple. Almost outdated. No glowing weapons. No heavy armor. No visible shields. It looked weak. That cannot be their answer, someone whispered. But the sensors told a different story. There are no advanced energy signatures, a technician said. No AI core detected. No automated defense systems. What? Another shouted. That is impossible. The leader stayed calm, but his voice grew serious. Scan again. We already did, the technician replied. This ship is almost empty. A strange silence filled the chamber. No advanced tech. No AI. No strong weapons. It made no sense. Open communication, the leader ordered. A few seconds passed. Then the signal connected. The same human appeared again, Commander Elias Ward. They have arrived, he said simply. Where is your fleet? The leader asked. Elias did not answer immediately. Instead, he said, Prepare a landing zone. Before anyone could question further, the connection ended. Moments later, the small vessel began to descend toward the main defense station orbiting the planet. The entire station was on high alert. Weapons were ready. Shields were active. Not against the humans, but against what might follow them. The docking bay doors slowly opened. The ship entered. And then everything became quiet. Too quiet. Dozens of alien soldiers stood ready, weapons aimed at the ship. Their armor glowed with energy. Their breathing was heavy. The ship landed softly. No dramatic impact. No powerful presence. Just a simple landing. A long pause followed. Then, the door opened. A soft hiss echoed through the bay. And the first figure stepped out. He looked human. But something felt wrong. He wore no heavy armor. Just a dark suit, simple and clean. No visible weapons. His face was calm. Too calm. His eyes moved slowly, scanning everything. Cold. Focused. Behind him, 4 more figures stepped out. 5. That was it. No army. No machines. Just 5 humans. The alien soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. One of them whispered, "This is a mistake." The blue-skinned leader entered the docking bay, surrounded by his guards. He stared at the 5 humans. "You are the elite?" he asked. The first human stepped forward. "Yes." His voice was quiet, controlled. "Where are your weapons?" One council guard demanded. The human looked at him. Then slowly he raised his hand. For a second, nothing happened. Then, the guard's weapon shut down. Completely. Gasps filled the bay. "What did you do?" the guard shouted. The human lowered his hand. "We adapt." The word sent a chill through the room. The blue-skinned leader studied them carefully. No visible tech. No advanced armor. But something about them was dangerous. Very dangerous. Before he could speak again, alarms suddenly exploded across the station. Red lights flashed. A loud voice echoed. "Warning. Unknown signal detected. Void swarm approaching." The entire station shook slightly. "It's too soon," one officer shouted. "They should not be here yet." "Distance," the leader demanded. Closing fast, the holographic display activated again. And there it was. The void swarm. Dark shapes filling space. Moving like a living storm. Endless. Terrifying. "Battle stations," the leader shouted. The defense fleet moved into position. Hundreds of ships powered up their weapons. Energy beams charged. Missiles locked. The elite warriors did not move. They simply stood there. Watching. "Do something," one of the officers shouted at them. The first elite tilted his head slightly. Then he said, "Observe." The first wave of the void swarm reached the outer defense line. The fleet opened fire. Space lit up with explosions. For a moment, it looked like it was working. Then, everything stopped. Ships froze. Weapons powered down. And then, they turned. The fleet began attacking itself. "No," someone whispered. "It's happening again." Panic spread across the command center. "Shut down all systems," an officer yelled. "It's too late," another replied. The elite leader stepped forward. "Now," he said quietly. In a single motion, all 5 elite warriors moved. Faster than anyone could see clearly. They disappeared from the docking bay. Where did they go?" the leader asked. Before anyone could answer, a massive explosion lit up space. One of the corrupted ships was destroyed. Then another. And another. The screen struggled to keep up. 5 small signals moved through the battlefield. Fast. Precise. Deadly. "They are outside," a technician whispered. "Without ships." "What?" The leader turned in shock. "That's impossible." But it was true. The elite warriors were moving in open space. No ships. No protection. And yet, they were surviving. Fighting. Destroying the infected fleet one by one. "How are they doing that?" someone asked, voice shaking. No one answered. Because no one understood. One elite appeared on the hull of a massive warship. With a single movement, he forced open an entry point. Seconds later, the ship exploded from within. Another elite moved through space like a shadow, avoiding enemy fire with impossible precision. A third one stood completely still as enemy drones surrounded him. Then in an instant all drones shut down. Fell silent. Drifted away. "They are not fighting like soldiers," the leader whispered. "They are hunting." The battle changed. For the first time, the void swarm slowed down. Its advance stopped. Then, it began to pull back. "They're retreating." An officer shouted in disbelief. Cheers almost broke out, but the elite leader suddenly reappeared inside the command center. Do not celebrate, he said. His voice was still calm, but now it carried weight. This was only a test. Silence fell again. The blue-skinned leader stepped forward. A test? The elite looked directly at him. Yes. For what? The elite paused. Then he spoke. To see if we are worth killing. The words hit harder than anything before. Before anyone could react, the sensors screamed again. A new signal appeared, bigger. Much bigger. The hologram zoomed out. And what they saw made the previous swarm look small. A massive wave of darkness moved through space. Endless. Covering entire sectors. This is impossible, a technician whispered. The elite leader stared at the screen. For the first time, a small change appeared on his face. Not fear, but something close. Understanding. They have seen us now, he said quietly. The blue-skinned leader felt a cold weight in his chest. What does that mean? The elite turned toward him. It means a pause. Even the air felt heavy. The real war. He looked back at the approaching darkness. Starts now. Far beyond the battlefield, deep inside the moving void swarm. Something ancient shifted. Something aware. It had noticed them. The five. And for the first time, the swarm was not alone in its thoughts. It was watching, learning, preparing. And this time, it would not underestimate its enemy. The battlefield was quiet again. But this time, it was not peaceful. It was waiting. The massive image of the incoming void swarm still filled the central hologram. It moved slowly now, like a storm gathering strength before striking again. No one in the command center spoke. Not even the elite. The five warriors stood apart from everyone else. Silent. Still. Watching. Like they were not afraid. Or maybe like they did not know how to be afraid. The blue-skinned leader finally broke the silence. You said this was only a test, he said carefully. Then what is that? He pointed toward the massive wave of darkness. The elite leader looked at it for a long moment. Then he answered. That is the real swarm. A heavy feeling spread across the room. Can you stop it? One of the officers asked quickly. The elite did not respond immediately. That alone was enough to create fear. Finally, he said, we will try. Try. Not we will win. Not we will destroy it. Just try. That word changed everything. The blue-skinned leader stepped closer. You defeated the first wave easily. Why is this different? The elite turned toward him. And for the first time, there was something human in his eyes. Because now, he said quietly, it knows we exist. Silence. Cold and deep. Before anyone could ask more, a new voice entered the conversation. Then we need to know more about you. All eyes turned. It was one of the council scientists. A smaller being with glowing eyes and thin hands. Known for studying other species. You fight without ships. Without visible technology. The swarm cannot control your systems. That means, he paused. You are not using systems we understand. The elite said nothing. The scientist took a step forward. Or, you are not fully dependent on technology at all. A long pause. Then, you are correct, the elite leader said. The room shifted. Explain, the blue-skinned leader demanded. Another pause. This time longer. As if the elite was deciding something. Then he spoke. We were not always like this. The scientist leaned in slightly. Go on. The elite looked at his team. The other four stood completely still. Like statues. Waiting. Then he continued. Humans fought many wars, he said. Some we won. Some we lost. But one thing was always the same. We were never ready for what came next. The room listened carefully. So we changed, he added. How? The scientist asked. The elite's eyes darkened slightly. We stopped improving our weapons. A pause. And started improving ourselves. A quiet shock spread through the room. You mean enhancement? The scientist asked quickly. Yes. But this level. The scientist looked at the battlefield data. This is beyond simple enhancement. Yes, the elite replied. What did you do to yourselves? The blue-skinned leader asked. The elite looked at him. And for a brief second, there was something painful in his expression. We removed our limits. Silence. No one fully understood what that meant. Until the scientist spoke again. You changed your biology, your mind, your reactions. Yes. You made yourselves into living weapons. The elite did not deny it. Yes. The word felt heavy. Uncomfortable. But there is more, the scientist said slowly. Something is missing. The elite said nothing. You react too fast, the scientist continued. You adapt too quickly. That is not just physical. He stepped even closer. It is mental. Still no answer. Then the scientist realized. His eyes widened. You are not thinking like normal beings. A pause. You are not thinking at all. The room went completely still. The blue-skinned leader looked at the elite. What does that mean? The elite finally answered. It means we do not hesitate. No, the scientist said, shaking his head. That is not it. He pointed at the elite warriors. You do not question. You do not doubt. You do not fear. Another pause. Then slowly. You removed your own identities. The words echoed like a shockwave. The room reacted instantly. That is impossible. No species would do that. That is not evolution. That is destruction. But the elite stood still. Unmoved. Unbothered. The leader looked directly at them. Is it true? A long silence. Then, yes. The truth landed hard. The scientist stepped back slightly. Your memories, your past, your personalities. Gone, the elite said. Replaced by mission. Another elite added for the first time. His voice was just as calm. Just as empty. You do not even know who you are, the leader asked quietly. No. The answer came without hesitation. Another silence followed. This one, heavier than before. The blue-skinned leader looked at them differently now. Not as warriors. Not as saviors. But as something else. Something tragic. You turned yourselves into tools, he said. No, the elite leader replied. We were made into tools. That changed everything again. Made, the scientist whispered. Yes. By who? The elite looked straight ahead. By humanity. Silence. No one knew how to react. The same species they called for help had created something like this. Why would they do that? The leader asked. The answer came slowly. Because the enemy never stops evolving. A pause. And we needed something that evolves faster. The room turned back to the hologram. The massive void swarm moved closer. Endless. Hungry. Watching. The scientist spoke again, his voice softer now. And after the mission? What happens to you? The elite leader looked at him. Nothing. Nothing, the scientist repeated. Yes. Another elite spoke. We are reset. Reset, the leader asked. Our memories are erased. The truth sank deeper. You fight, you survive, and then everything is taken from you, the scientist said. Yes. Every time. Yes. The room felt colder. So you do not even remember your victories, the leader said quietly. No. Or your losses? No. The leader looked at them. 5 warriors. Standing without fear. Without doubt. Without past. You are not soldiers, he whispered. No one corrected him. Because everyone understood now. They were something else. Something beyond war. Something created only for survival. Suddenly, alarms screamed again. The swarm is accelerating. The hologram updated. The massive wave of darkness was no longer slow. It was rushing forward. Fast. Too fast. They are changing speed, a technician shouted. They adapted, another added. The scientist looked at the elite. They learned from you. The elite leader nodded slightly. Yes. And now, the blue-skinned leader asked. The elite turned toward the battlefield. His expression returned to calm. Empty. Focused. Now we adapt faster. The 5 warriors stepped forward together. In perfect sync. Like one mind and 5 bodies. Prepare all remaining defenses, the elite leader said. But you said they can control our systems, the leader argued. Yes, the elite replied. Then what is the point? A small pause. Then, to slow them down. The words hit hard. You cannot stop them? The leader asked. The elite looked at the incoming darkness. Then back at him. For now. A pause. We fight. And without another word, all 5 disappeared again. The command center fell into chaos. Orders were shouted. Ships repositioned. Weapons charged. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. This battle would not be easy. Not this time. Far away, inside the heart of the void swarm, the ancient presence moved again. It had seen the 5. It had learned. It had understood something new. These enemies were not like the others. They did not think. They did not fear. They did not break. And for the first time, the swarm felt something close to interest. It shifted its endless form. Adapting. Evolving. Preparing. Because now, this was no longer a simple hunt. This was a challenge. The stars began to disappear again. Not one by one, but in waves. The void swarm had changed. It no longer moved like a storm. Now it moved with purpose. Every second it grew faster, smarter, more precise. The battlefield turned into chaos. Ships fired without coordination. Defense lines broke within minutes. Entire fleets were lost before they could even react. Inside the command center, alarms screamed without stopping. We are losing the outer grid. Defense Line 3 has collapsed. They are inside the system. The blue-skinned leader stood frozen for a moment, staring at the hologram. Every strategy they had was failing. Again. Where are the elite? He demanded. No one answered. Because no one could track them. They were out there. Somewhere in the chaos. Fighting alone. Far from the main fleet. In the darkness between shattered ships. One of the elite moved. Fast. Precise. He drifted through space, dodging debris and enemy drones with unnatural control. His breathing was steady. His mind silent. No fear. No hesitation. Only mission. He reached a broken warship. Placed his hand on its surface. In seconds, the ship's systems came alive again, only to overload and explode into a chain reaction that destroyed dozens of swarm units nearby. But it was not enough. Not this time. For every unit destroyed, hundreds replaced it. Another elite appeared on the surface of an alien carrier. Surrounded. Outnumbered. The swarm closed in from all directions. He did not move. He waited. And then, in a single moment, everything around him shut down. Drones froze. Signals died. The swarm units lost coordination. For a brief second, there was silence. Then the carrier's weapons fired automatically, destroying everything in range. The elite disappeared before the explosion reached him. Back in the command center. They are slowing it down, a technician said, shocked. But not stopping it, the scientist replied. Everyone knew what that meant. Time. They were buying time. But for what? Suddenly, a new signal appeared. Human origin. Put it through, the leader ordered. The screen activated. Commander Elias Ward appeared again. But this time, he did not look calm. He looked serious. Focused. The situation has reached critical level, he said. We noticed, the leader replied sharply. Your elite cannot stop them. Elias nodded once. Yes. The word hit hard. Then what is your plan? The leader demanded. There was a pause. Then Elias spoke. We are activating Phase 2. Silence. What is Phase 2? The scientist asked. Elias looked at him. For a moment he hesitated, as if what he was about to say mattered. They are not here to win this battle, he said. The room froze. What? The leader stepped forward. They are here to end the war. Confusion spread instantly. That is not the same thing, the scientist said. No, Elias replied. It is not. The leader's voice grew tense. Explain. Elias took a slow breath. Then he said, the elite are not just soldiers. A pause. They are a trigger. Outside, the 5 elite warriors suddenly stopped moving. All of them. At the same time. Across the battlefield. They stood still. Surrounded by chaos. By destruction. By the endless swarm. But they did not move. Inside the command center. What is happening? Someone shouted. The scientists stared at the data. Their signals are synchronizing. With what? The leader asked. The scientists' eyes widened. With each other. Elias continued. We learned something during our wars, he said. There are enemies you cannot defeat by force. Then how do you defeat them? The leader asked. Elias looked directly at him. You make them come to you. The hologram zoomed out. The swarm was no longer spreading randomly. It was focusing. Converging. All toward one point. The location of the elite. They are drawing it in, the scientist whispered. Yes, Elias said. But why? The leader asked. Elias did not answer immediately. Then, because that is where the trap is. Deep in space, the 5 elite warriors floated in formation. Perfect alignment. Their bodies still. Their minds connected. For the first time, they were not acting as individuals. They were acting as one. A single signal began to spread from them. Invisible. Silent. But powerful. The swarm reacted instantly. It rushed toward them. Faster than ever before. Like it had found something it needed. Something it wanted. Inside the command center. What is that signal? The scientist asked. Elias answered quietly. It is the one thing the swarm cannot ignore. What is it? A pause. Then, evolution. The swarm closed in. Millions of units. Billions. All focusing on 5 small figures. The battlefield around them emptied. Everything was being pulled toward one point. The blue-skinned leader felt something shift. What happens when they reach them? He asked slowly. Elias looked at him. His voice was calm again. Then it ends. Outside, the swarm reached them. It surrounded them completely. No escape. No movement. Just darkness. Endless darkness. The 5 elite stood still. No fear. No resistance. And then, they moved. All at once. Each one activated something. Not a weapon. Not a shield. Something deeper. Something inside them. A pulse spread outward. Through the swarm. Through every connected unit. Through the entire network. Inside the swarm. The ancient presence felt it. For the first time, it did not understand. The signal was not an attack. Not a defense. It was something else. Something human. Inside the command center. What are they doing? The leader asked. The scientists stared at the data in disbelief. They are rewriting it. What? The swarm's network, its core behavior, it's changing. Elias spoke softly. They gave it something new. What? The leader asked. A long pause. Then, choice. The swarm froze. Every unit. Every movement. Stopped. The darkness held still. Inside it, the ancient presence struggled. It had always been one thing. One purpose. Consume. Expand. Evolve. But now, there was something else. A new pattern. A new possibility. It hesitated. For the first time, it hesitated. And in that moment, the trap activated. A massive energy collapse formed around the swarm. A singularity. Hidden. Prepared long before the battle. The entire swarm was caught inside it. Pulled inward. Unable to escape. Inside the command center. It's working, someone whispered. The leader stared at the screen. And the elite? No answer. At the center of the collapsing space, the 5 elite warriors remained. Holding the signal. Holding the swarm. Holding the moment. Their bodies began to break apart under the pressure. But they did not stop. They could not stop. This was the mission. For a brief second, something changed. A flicker. A memory. Not clear. Not complete. But there. A face. A voice. A name. Something they once were. Before everything was erased, the elite leader spoke. Not through comms. Not through systems. But through the shared signal. We were human. Then, the singularity collapsed. Light disappeared. Darkness folded in on itself. And everything was gone. Silence returned. But this time, it was different. It was over. Days later, the galaxy was still. No new signals. No new attacks. The void swarm was gone. Inside the council chamber, no one celebrated. No one spoke. They just stared at the empty space on the hologram. The blue-skinned leader finally said, "They saved us." The scientist nodded slowly. "Yes, but no one will know their names," the leader added. A long pause. Then the scientist said, "They did not know them either." Far away on Earth, Commander Elias Ward stood alone, looking at a blank screen. 5 signals. Gone. He closed his eyes for a moment, then quietly said, "Reset protocol cancelled." And for the first time, there would be no new elite, because the last ones had chosen to be remembered.